we go. All right, let me get this thing straightened out here. Right there. Okay. Let me go. Let me get this thing going. It's November the 8th. And we're getting ready to start our meeting. Pray we have a positive meeting, productive, peaceful, and fun. Got 2 people coming in, 2 of my cousins. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Wonderful.
Great. Man, it's been an exciting week, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
A relieving week. Big relief.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Now we got to get busy. Now the work begins.
There you go. Exactly.
But I'm so happy and proud of the women. You know, the women, how they stepped up and, led the way early.
Yeah, for sure.
And, the harvest is, they got results of that harvest. We got the VP.
Man, well, definitely. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got a little rain out here in San Diego, but other than that, we haven't had rain in 100 days.
I thought about to say 100 years. 100 days. Where is that? That's where Charles.
Yeah, I have a cousin in San Diego. Well, I mean, I know you my cousin too, but I mean, I have another cousin.
Well, you're going to have to hook me up with them. Hey, we got 2 more people coming in. We got Thea and Meredith, okay? Some new people.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, how are you? Is this Thea?
Good. How are you?
Oh, boy, this is awesome. It's a
I
blessing.
am.
It's a blessing to see your face.
It's wonderful to meet you, cousin. I'm excited. Very excited.
Yeah, with this, this train is going
How are
down.
you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. We've had
Good.
an emotional roller coaster week, but it ended up in a positive direction.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It was a very stressful 4 days.
Oh man.
Very
So,
stressful. This is stressful 4 years.
uh, what city are you in?
I live in Portland, Oregon.
Cool. Hey,
Hmm.
what's up, champ?
And where are you, Jerry?
I'm in San Diego. Yes,
Nice.
yeah. Because you'll be talking to people, in the meeting there. They're from all over the country when they come in.
That's so exciting. I'm
And
very excited.
and the other thing about it, we're related. We're all related.
I know. That's so wonderful. So wonderful.
So let's just take a little minute and
Hello,
just
everyone.
exhale and just exhale for a minute because wow, like I said, it's been a whirlwind In our
Yes, it has.
in our city, you know, in my neighborhood, they've been driving down the streets and the horns have been blowing, and you know, it's good to see. And also in my neighborhood, I saw a lot of Black Lives Matter signs,
Yes.
and I was looking at it, you know, previously, and I was saying to myself, man, now that people are more open, and you know, the neighbors, and this is really real, the momentum that the country has, and then I had to caution myself and say, well, maybe these are some of the
Yes.
same folks, as I say, who voted for us previously, but they
Yes.
weren't as open about it. So that tempered down my,
Yes.
you know, my enthusiasm, but I was still thankful to
Yeah.
see that. It really meant a lot to ride in the neighborhood and
Yes.
see, hey man, the folks are, you know, they coming around.
Yes. We still have a long ways to go because 70 million people voted for this man. You know, they voted for racism, white supremacy. It's really sad. They were okay with what he was doing, you know?
Well, even 4 years ago, when you know, when he was elected, I had said, you know, it's not him, it's the people who elected him. So
Yes.
that's what I've always
Yep.
said. So you can't, you know, he's just a puppet.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of people like him. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Any other political commentary? Because I, you know, we're open for it. This is a format before we dive into the, you know, the research. How you doing, Eddie?
Yeah.
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Oh man, I had a good time at your meeting, you know, last week. It was very interesting to meet your relatives.
Yeah, I got another one at 5. So I got to stay about an hour, then go into my meeting also.
That's fine.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. This time I'm getting I found another couple of relatives that I'm getting on Zoom with the rest of the family from New Jersey and stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get them to introduce to their family members that they didn't know anything about.
That's very nice. That's good.
Mhm.
Well, Eddie, you know, he's bold enough to meet with his immediate family, people who he knows. You know, I've
Uh,
started this. I started this genealogy with my DNA relatives.
Yes.
That's what this group is. You know, so we have a little civility. You know,
Yes.
a little we have, you know, we're more. There's not a lot of self interest. We're looking at the total picture, and I have nothing wrong with getting tighter with, you know, having these for my individuals. But when I do that, you know, I have to put on my hard hat, and you know, got to pack my knife, and you know, so my family is tough, man. They tough. They tough. So now I'm working myself towards that, because you know, by this experience, you know, this journey, I saw what Eddie did. And you know, he was talking to us, you know, he's talking to first cousins and people who he knows, and then they're bringing on some more close relatives. So it was pretty heartwarming, Eddie, to see that.
Thanks. I got it from you. Then you got started. I said, let me try this. So I get on here now. Anybody want to talk to me, I'll let them talk to me.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
that's what.
so if they want to join in, that's fine. It's just a way of connecting. Matter of fact, I got my sister doing her DNA for Ancestry now, because of I told her, I said, I need you on Ancestry. And then I got a couple more I'm trying to get on also.
Nice.
With the people who are here, let's have a brief introduction because let's go with what we have now, because I'm getting some messages. Some of our group, they're going to be coming in a little later. So, and I'll start off because Thea, who was the Meredith? Who's Meredith?
Oh, she's my partner. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Will she be here today?
No, because she's not real. Well, she's in the house definitely, but she's not going to join us. I don't think so. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, bring the dog in. You know, we can talk. We can bark at the dog.
This is Shijo right here.
That's cool, man.
And let me show you.
Thank you.
And this is Teddy.
Those are cool. Those are Chihuahuas.
Yeah, they're Chihuahua Terriers. They're brothers. They're 6 months apart.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Smart
Teddy's
dog.
a year and a half, and she just 2. But he's the boss.
Yeah, they're smart.
Very smart.
Mm-hmm.
They understand everything we say, but they don't listen.
Well,
They have selective hearing.
Well, you know, Tia, she had asked me where I lived at, and I had my reach out message to her, but I just, you know, one thing that I wanted to share with you, when we have these meetings, they're recorded, and I send them out to, you know, our group, and so it's helpful to go over and clarify, and so that people can get familiarized who's who and where they live, and you know, make connections. So
Yes.
again, my name is Jerry Moss, and I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and I moved out here to California like 40 years ago with one of my friends who played football for the San Diego Chargers, and I grew up with him. His name is Johnny Rogers, a Heisman Trophy winner.
Mm.
And when I do my research, I see how my family, one family member will go to another location, and then they bring along other people and other relatives. And this is the same kind of migration pattern that happened to me. And I was blessed to have a good friend, because we was boyhood, brothers, and grew up, in the same neighborhood and same kind of schools on our way up. And I was able to, come out on his coattails, but I came with something, it's like God, give him something to work with. I came with skills, some that I was blessed to get in civil engineering and design and drafting. So when I did come with him, I was able to apply for a job, a number of jobs. But let me reiterate, let me give you some little background. When Johnny came out here to play for the Chargers in 1978, we had a roast for him at Omaha at the Boys Club. And Johnny, because that's giving. I was of the Boys Club, and I was one of the leaders of our group. And we want to acknowledge him for what he had accomplished. And we all were, classmates and ran together. So as a token of appreciation, Johnny said, "Hey, Jerry, can you and your wife come out and visit me and spend some time with me?" And here we are in Nebraska, the Midwest, and he's out in San Diego. So I took him up on it. And speaking about women and mothers, I told Johnny, I'm gonna be coming out. And he said, "Good." And I talked to my mother. I remember being on the front porch, and she said, "Jerry, if you do go out there, take your portfolio with you." She planted the seed to take my portfolio out there. I didn't. I was just, there it is. I'm going to California. My wife and I, we're gonna go out and see what it's like. But my mom planted that seed, and so what I did is, at that time, I was in the industry, in the engineering field. I graduated from a technical college, and a company recruited me to come work for them Kansas City state line. It's called Black and Veatch Consultants, the 7th largest engineering company, in the world.
Wow.
Man, and they recruited me, brought me down, and set me up, and that's how I started my profession. So I had skills, and still have them, but I went down to the library in Omaha with my brother Dale Moss, who was 9 years old at that. Not Dale Moss, Kirby. Dale was my nephew. He's the one that's on the Bachelorette series. That he got the final rose. Here comes Tamara. So let me finish my story. I'll speed it up. So my mom planted the seed, and what I did, I went down to the Omaha library. I looked at the city of San Diego engineering jobs, design and drafting jobs, and they had a number of jobs there. So I sent my resume to the companies, told them I'm coming out, and I'm gonna be staying with Johnny, and for a week I can visit if you have any openings. Do you know what they did? They sent me back about 15 letters. Yeah, when you come on, talk to us. Come on, talk to us. So I had about 15 letters that these companies wanted to talk to me when I got out there to visit Johnny for a week. So what happened is I took those letters before I went, and I sat on the porch with my mom. I said, "Hey, Mom, here's what I have. Here's what I've done." And she looked at those letters, and and it just brought us together. It meant so much to her that I followed up to that degree. And so what happened is,
Yes.
I eventually came out and interviewed for about 5 companies here. I come out here to California, San Diego, for the first time, and I'm going to these different companies with my friend Johnny Rogers, taking me to these companies. He's on the San Diego Chargers, taking me to these companies in his Rolls Royce. Going to these companies. So I'm going to we pull up with Johnny. So he goes in with me. He sits and waits for me while I'm having these interviews. And, I come back. I tell him, "Oh, yeah, we cut a deal for this." And then he'll talk to me. He schooled me. So, they might have one figure. He said, "Okay, when we go to the next one, we're going to ask for 5,000 more." So, all right. So, so they took it upon themselves, and they worked with me. He worked with me. And by the end of the week, I was down to the last day, and on a Friday, and I was close to making a decision to come in here. Some people was going to give me a job if I paid my expenses here. They had a job for me. So okay, I go back home. I get a call, and I check everything. I call back, and I tell them, tell the companies, that specifically one company, I said, "I can't come out because it's too much and I can't afford it, but I appreciate the offer." You know what that guy said? He's a vice president. He said, "I'll call you back, Jerry, in about a half an hour. Stay right there." I stayed back. About half an hour, this man calls me back. He says, "I talked to the president of the company. His name is Bill Rick." And Bill Rick said, "Hey, whatever it takes for you to come out here, do you have a credit card?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Okay, use whatever you need to have. Use whatever expenses you have, use that, and come on out here. We want you to come work for us." And so what I did is I had
wow.
Here's Johnny. Johnny's moving this. He was playing for the Montreal Canadiens Alouettes. He was moving his grandparents to San Diego. So what I ended up doing was I had a U-Haul. First time ever coming to a U-Haul. His stepfather and me, a big ass truck. And he taught me we loaded up his grandmother's possessions and stuff. On my nickel, we moved, I helped him drive a 22-foot U-Haul out to California. His name was Eddie Jones, him and me to California with Johnny's grandmother's possessions. And my family, I had North American movers move up everything I had, at my place. And they got plane tickets and stuff for my wife and 2 kids. So I had that. So at the end of the day, when I did get here, I went to the office and I had all my receipts. I'd moved Johnny's family out here, to move my family out here. I had must have about $5,000 in expenses. And I went to the office. I gave him that receipt.
Wow.
He gave me a check for $5,000, and he gave me first and last month rent.
Wow.
And I've been on
Wow.
here ever since. This is
Wow.
heaven on earth for me.
That's incredible.
I call it a working
Wow.
working retirement. As long as I've been out here, and I'm very grateful.
Yes.
And that's my story. Oh, hello everybody. Tamara.
Hello.
Hey Tamara, don't let the producer over there in the corner, Eddie. There you go.
Well, my computer's gonna cut off, so I'm gonna switch computers in a minute because it has to do an update.
Okay. And we have Diane. So I sort of went over on my intro, but I was acknowledging everybody for all you beautiful women and what you did, how you led the country, and some of these kids, your grandkids, your significant others who hadn't been involved, you got them involved. And there's people who never voted before, you got them involved. And now, we all got a lot to do, but I just want to tell you how much I appreciate all your efforts, and I appreciate your love and how you work with me and help me through this journey that we're going through. So, hey man, I'm just so blessed to have you as family.
We know.
Yeah, y'all be taking care of me, boy. I've been leaving a trail back there. Y'all be cleaning it up, boy. I tell you, it'd be big.
Now, is that Phil?
Theo.
Thea, yes.
Tell me about,
Thea,
tell me about
yes.
you.
Mhm.
Tell me about you.
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I moved here about 22 years ago.
And where's
And
here?
I lived on the East Coast, and I was a
here?
professional singer for many years.
Where's here?
I live in Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon.
You got them people up? You got people up there in Oregon?
I live in Portland, Oregon. So I moved here.
Oh.
Pardon me?
Well, the old saying is, how do black people...
I'm sorry, I didn't.
That saying I grew up with, how did black people get to Oregon?
My nephew lived there. Portland, he loved it.
Oh man, that was a state that I wouldn't go up to save my life.
Well, he absolutely loves it.
Portland is getting blacker and blacker every year. When I first came here 22 years ago, I would go around and I wouldn't see another black person except for my kids for months, almost years, It was crazy. And now there's black people everywhere because we have,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we have a migration because of, the hurricanes and everything that's been going on. So we had a huge migration of black people that came here.
Now, I have a
Why did those people
it's
want
really
to take
awesome.
over
It's
downtown?
great to see.
Now, I
Why
had a
do
cousin
people
that taught
want to take
at one
over
of the
downtown?
universities here. I had a cousin that taught at one of the
Okay.
universities. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Are you familiar with Joy?
So you had a
DeGroot?
cousin that taught at one of the universities here?
Yeah. She's a professor there. Joy DeGroot.
No, I'm not.
Joy DeGroot wrote a book called Slave.
At which university?
Yeah. She what was it? Slave Syndrome. She's on. She does a lot of presentations, but she lived in Oregon for a while. And I used to always ask her,
Yes.
how'd you get up there? Yes, post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's the book she wrote. So
Yes. Yeah.
But I've never been to Oregon.
I came here on vacation, actually. Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful here. That's one of the reasons why I moved here. It's simply gorgeous. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And the people are really nice. To get back to your question, Diane, you
Yeah.
wanted to know why people were protesting downtown?
Yeah, why were they trying to take over downtown? How do you take over downtown? That was crazy.
Well, it wasn't Portlanders taking over downtown. It was people that were coming from out of town taking over
They didn't
downtown
tell us that. Wow.
and creating, right, and creating a atmosphere of anarchy, which Portlanders were not involved in.
So they
So a
couldn't
lot of
just
people came from
arrest
out of
them?
town.
If they were from out of town, they should have been arrested.
Well, that's not how Portland operates, So people are free to do what they want to do here,
Okay.
Oh.
So yeah,
Oh,
that's how it
okay.
is. Yeah. And it was a lot of Trumpers that came here also that created problems,
Yeah, yeah.
So we had a lot of that going on. And Portlanders are people that will fight against tyranny. Can I say that?
Okay.
And so if they see anything coming like that, they'll stand up against it. And that's why you saw, people protesting for days, because they're not going to have it here. They're just not going to have it,
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
I'm an artist. I'm a painter. And I had a cleaning business for many years, but coronavirus completely wiped it out,
Okay.
And so, and I also have a candle business that I'm relaunching, but that's what I do.
Oh, okay. Entrepreneur.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. I have 3
Now
sons.
the other question.
Pardon me?
One of the other questions.
Pardon me?
One of the other question I have is, now what? Jerry sent you an invite, right?
Yes.
Are you a Moss or some of the name lines?
I am a shoemaker, a Gandhi, if you're familiar with those names, and let's see, a McClarity, and a Taylor.
Taylor.
So I believe that I'm related to you all on the Taylor side, because my mother is white. Huh?
From Texas? Any Taylors
Yes.
from Texas? East Texas?
Yes. And Taylor's from Virginia.
Okay, Taylor.
My mother is white.
Uh-huh.
My father is black.
Now, the reason why I ask, because I have relatives that are Taylors from East Texas.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's what I was trying to figure out where about in East Texas. Tyler.
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, okay.
Yes, Fort Worth. Mm-hmm.
Got family in Fort Worth also.
Garland, Texas.
Ooh.
What is your name on
That's where my family's from, Texas.
What is your name on Ancestry?
Thea Taylor. Thea Dolores Taylor. Taylor.
Okay.
Taylor.
Okay, I got it.
Yep. I have to make sure. So now, you want me to introduce myself? I'm asking all the questions, right? So
yes,
so as soon as I get some food from Diane, I'll talk.
Stick a fork in me, I'm done. It was good.
My introduction is my name is Eddie Henderson. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I was born in Texarkana, Arkansas, raised in Northern California, Oakland, Berkeley, Richmond, and East Palo Alto. I left there, went to college. I'm a graduate of Prairie View A&M University outside of Houston, a BS degree in industrial technology, and an MBA degree in management. I've been doing research for about 15, 20 years on my family, because I wasn't raised by my biological father and didn't know anything about his family. my family is Moss, McIntosh, Moore, Ivory, and Rambo. So, and I didn't find all this out until I started researching. So I've been doing this quite a while, and I joined with Jerry because we were searching for the Moss branch of my family. And that's why I'm looking here for all the Mosses and anybody that's a part of the Moss family. So that's me. One thing, in doing the research, I found a famous cousin of mine.
Who is that?
Remember the 1964 Olympics? There was a high jumper that took the bronze medal named John Rambo.
Wow.
John Rambo is my third cousin.
Wow.
And I didn't find him out until after I started doing research. So, and he's in the National Museum.
Wow.
African American Museum. He's there with a plaque. So that's what research has done to help me. I've got a lot of more cousins like that too. I've located too. So
That's wonderful.
So I'm deep into research, and
That's
don't know
wonderful.
anything though. Don't ask me though.
Michelle,
That's a
Anthony.
little brief of me.
Okay.
Next.
I was born in Chicago. Oh, I'm Michelle Susberry Hill. Anthony Hill is my husband. And I was born in Chicago, but my family is from Texas. And so, just to shortcut a little bit, I thought we were related on my mom's side, but I'm thinking we're related on my dad's side. And my dad is in Henderson, Texas. And
Yes.
my family is from Oklahoma. And I don't know all of the details of how they migrated, but I do also have brothers in Fort Worth. So,
They're your cousin.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And you mentioned Rambo is your cousin, so that means he's my cousin too.
Uh-oh.
So that's good to know.
What?
Really? Did he be my cousin too?
And Eddie, they live in Houston.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I stopped at Chicago. So I'm in Houston, Texas now. I'm a retired teacher, elementary and middle school. I have a master's in reading and a master's in educational administration and a doctorate in curriculum and instruction.
Oh.
Ooh, that's a genius over there. What's up, genius?
So then I do research, and that's what I like to do. And I do research and writing and things like that. And genealogy. And
That's wonderful.
Rambo, huh? Hey.
Well, if you said he's your cousin, that means he's my cousin too.
Yeah.
Hey, Diane, when you give us a brief intro on your end, but like before you do that, I've been following your social media, and you've been out front, and I really acknowledge all your work keeping people in the loop and what's going on. Could you give me your feedback? What does it feel like, and what do you feel about your efforts? Do you feel that you got the results from a lot of your efforts? Because you've been on point. You know how we would talk and we would hear that. I call him the big bad wolf. I would hear him and I said, you better listen to him. At his ass. And Diane.
Well, I have been a Republican for a long time because I have more values that a Christian. It doesn't mean the Republican's a Christian. I'm not trying to say that. But some things are just way over the board for me within the Democratic Party, because there's conflict now between what Joe Biden wants to do and what Bernie Sanders and the group following him wants to do, because some things like the Medicare for all thing. Well, in other words, my politics are not necessarily aligning with the Democrats, other than I think it's horrible to be kidnapping those kids. And I've taught kids of all ethnicities. And so I love my Hispanic students. I've taught more Hispanic students than anything. And I really kind of get emotional when I think about it, because my students and their parents have been some of the sweetest people. The parents have been very cooperative and they're interested in learning. And there's more of a family core to the Hispanic families than to the Black families. And I hate to say that, but that's how it is. And so I couldn't believe it when Donald Trump was running. It was, I was just numb. And then just to hear things he was saying and everything. And so I've been on Twitter. And so that's where I kind of hooked up with a lot of people that do like Project Lincoln. And Republicans.
The Lincoln Project.
Yeah, Lincoln Project.
Yes.
Yeah, this is my math here.
Yeah, they tough. Hey,
Let me show you my Sasquatch.
I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah,
They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're transparent. You know.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that the Democrats don't really know how to go after Trump.
Ooh.
And they know.
But they did. They
sure
did.
Yeah. And you know what? They're not becoming Democrats. And see, some Democrats don't understand that. Well, they just think this. I said, the point is, get rid of that fool, Donald Trump, and then deal with regular politics. Donald Trump is a special demon. He knows how to market himself, be lying through his teeth. But some people believe him. You see how the cultured people are around him. And it just really hurt me that Lindsey Graham, I think he has probably used his mob connections to get stuff on most of those Republicans, and especially Lindsey Graham, because he's supposed to be homosexual, you know. So, I mean, I just, you know, I'm trying to work with poor Paris. You guys know Paris. What's Paris' last name? Denard. He used to be on CNN as a Black guy. He's young. And so he is an advocate for Donald Trump, one of his staunchest supporters. And he's on Twitter, and boy, he be saying all kind of crazy stuff. And I used to try to go back and forth with it, but I started using scripture to him, because he's talking about, yeah, you know, Kamala Harris is not African American, blah, blah, blah. And so I use that scripture, Philippians 4:8. You know, concentrate on these things, you know, say stuff that's good, you know, something that's going to help. Why are you trying to tell, particular things, you saying you're a Christian? And then he was talking about something else about Democrats. And I told him that Jesus Christ died on the cross that everybody may be saved. And if you're a Christian, you should be trying to win some of these people for Christ. And I think it's really done a disservice to Christianity for Donald Trump to be embraced the way he's been embraced by Franklin Graham and Robert Jeffress. I never heard of Robert Jeffress till this. And, you know, even Rick Warren has been involved. These are these mega pastors you guys know. But Rick Warren backed up once he saw what Trump was doing to those immigrants, because his church is a church of immigrants. They have a witness. So every time he tried to get involved in some politics, he get in trouble. So he's backed up out of that group that's doing that. And so I mean,
you know, there's not a neo Christians. It's just there's a lot of neoliberals. You know what I mean? So yeah. I hear you.
That was Christina Newman.
Huh?
We have another group member coming in.
Okay.
Christina.
Well, so that's basically been my thing. And so they want to work to change the Republican Party to take it back so that it can go back to the small government thing that they were concerned about, as opposed to getting into all these different little racial things. Because before Donald Trump got involved, they had done an evaluation and said for the Republican Party to grow, they need to reach out to the different ethnic groups to bring them in. But you're not going to bring them in talking all that hate stuff, Trump and stuff.
Thank you. And a little bit about your history, who where you're from and that kind of stuff.
I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, by the infamous Central High. Oh. So I was in elementary school when the Little Rock Nine was integrating Central. A lot of times
Wow.
we didn't need bus fare because we get chased home. Boy, that was scary times. And so I remember going to the basement of the department store. I thought they only had just the basement floor. I didn't realize they had second and third floor. And so I
Man.
went to the colored bathroom, sat on the back of the bus, and all that other good stuff. And Mary Moss, my father's mother, was from St. Francis County, Arkansas.
Mhm.
And so I know that group there in St. Francis is connected to you guys' other groups. So that's really what I'm trying to focus in on. How do these pieces fit together? There's a story there. So anyway, after I graduated college, I went to Central High. And so after I graduated college, I got a BBA in business, came to California, and I started working in aerospace. And then I realized that there's prejudice here, just like it is in Arkansas. Why
Hmm.
the people from there move out here? So it's prejudice people all over. And I shouldn't say prejudice, I mean racist. So we all have
Yes.
preferences. Okay, and so I got a master's degree in business too. And I found a
Awesome.
gray hair when I was 26. And thank God I've gotten used to it. I was depressed. I went out and bought a piano, but that changed my life. So I started taking voice and piano lessons, and the little lady was so excited. Oh, you should be married to a preacher. My father was a pastor. But anyway, so I got back in church through her calling me. Oh, I found a wonderful church for you to go to. I had my um, molars removed. So I went on to the church, but I did become a Christian there because I understood, what it, took to be a
Yes.
Christian, accepting Christ as your personal savior. And so they needed a pianist. And so next thing I knew, I was directing choir and I went back to
Wow.
school for
Ooh,
music.
what a
And
responsibility.
so I started writing music. I wrote music for plays and stuff. And then I started teaching music in school. So that's basically. So I retired about 4 or 5 years ago because one thing about it, if you don't go into administration, people be hating on you having a big salary. If you teaching something like music or art, they think you're having fun. You're not really doing anything. They don't realize there's a literacy to music because the kids are not reading well in the inner city. They want all the teachers to teach reading. Well, I'm teaching the musical signs and how you read and follow the direction of music.
Oh yeah.
So since I was making too much money, they thought for the what little bit I was doing, they harassed me till I retired.
My Lord.
Oh,
That's a shame.
And that's when I got into genealogy.
Thank you for that story. It's
mm.
Hope it wasn't too boring.
no. What college was it that you went to?
I went to University of Arkansas, Little Rock for my bachelor's. I went to Cal State Dominguez in Carson for my master's. I went to National University
Wow,
for
that's
my
cool.
teaching program, and I worked on a degree in music at Cal State Dominguez. But it had been so long since I've been in school, I was not going to take all those other general electives. So I took the stuff I needed to get my
Hmm.
credential.
Well,
So audio recording and electronic music.
Frances Haywood, she's in Carlson.
Yeah, no.
Hmm. Thank you, Diane. Christina, how are you? Christina, can you hear us? Oh, her mic is off.
Her
Is that
mic's
because
off.
she has hers
Yeah,
off,
Your
her
doesn't
mic
she?
is
mic.
on mute.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay,
I
thank
was
you.
I'm well, thank you.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm well.
Well,
Glad to be here.
we were just having some reflections on what's happened politically, and also giving our little history about ourselves. And as to introduce you, I want to. It's on the same line as Diane. I see that you're socially active. You have a lot of information about your family history, and it's really helpful to follow you through this journey, because you've been doing some traveling, and you've been showing us a lot about your family and how we're connected. So I appreciate you taking the time to join the meeting. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself, you know, where you're at, where you live, and little background about what this means to you to be a part of our, you know, this here research.
Okay. So I'm born and raised in New York, and I recently relocated to Maryland, where I went to college, um, 25 or so years ago. I went to the University of Maryland, and and then I went to divinity school up in New York. So I believe, Diane, you said you are a pastor or a preacher.
No, I'm a PK.
Oh, you're a PK. Okay, well, I'm a
I'm a PK and an active believer.
Okay, so I'm a pastor. I'm in the ordination process. So in April 2021, my process should be done. It has been about a 7-year process. So that's a major part of
Great.
my life. I relocated down to Maryland to take a job in DC in a charter school as a chief of staff. So it's kind of a career shift for me at this point. As far as my connection to probably everyone here, I'm connected to Moss through the Burnell family. So
Oh,
my great grandmother was a Burnell. Her father, John Lilly, I believe, is the brother of Isham Burnell, where Moss, I think, connects.
Yeah, which is Isham. Isham is my great grandfather, and,
Okay,
and his daughter was my grandmother Ethel Burnell.
okay.
And so John Louis and all of them, that's our connection. It is on that side of the family with the Burnells, a large family. And
yeah.
the the whole area, it's like we're doing this genealogy research. A lot of their origins are in the Texarkana area. So I'm gonna use all those Texas, Arkansas, the whole area there, but mainly um, Southwest Arkansas in
Okay.
Hempstead County, Nevada County, Columbia County. But yeah, we're Brunels, and that is our connection.
Yes, and I started doing family research maybe about 20 years ago when I was a new mother, a new wife, and I just wanted to get some family history. And an aunt of mine had already started doing it, but that was back when, you know, you were looking at microfiche and you had to actually go somewhere in person and all of that. And the ancestry message boards were just getting started. The internet was maybe 7 years old, you know, so we've
Yeah.
come a long way as far as how we can research. Another big part of who I am, my father is Jamaican, so I'm Jamaican American. And so I've been researching a lot on that side. And what I found very interesting, I'm in a DNA group, and I found some DNA matches, but they didn't match through my father, they matched through my mother. And so it just shows how, you know, the divisions that we often have, we're all connected. We're all
Yes.
connected. So either somebody on this side, you know, went there, or somebody from there came here, and it's only about 7 generations back that she has that DNA found in Jamaica. So I'm excited to be here. I've kind of like not been doing a lot of research lately because I've just been so busy and bogged down, but I'll pick it up probably mid-year next year and start going a little harder again.
Thank you. I want to share something with you about the family history, the Burnells.
Jeez.
Theology is in the family, and on the Burnell side and the Moss side. There were on the Burnell side. Let me be a little bit more specific. There were, you know, ministers in our family who formed a church in uh, Stevens, Arkansas. It's called Mount Vernon Church. Mount Vernon Church, and it's still there now. And a lot of the Burnells are buried there. It's called it's called Mount Vernon Church, and it's in Stevens, Arkansas. And so for some of the ministers, they started the church and been a part of that. And on the other side, some of the mosques you're talking about you're in DC. Uh, a few of my ancestor uncles, when they were they attended Howard University, the theology part of it, and
Okay.
one of them one of our cousins has the degree of James Monroe Moss from 1911. She has a copy of his degree from Howard University.
And interesting you mentioned that because I was just looking at the school. I'm considering a doctorate, going there for a doctorate.
And as a follow-up, he mentioned Jamaican. The one thing about that speech last night with the VP, you know, her father is Jamaican,
Oh, no.
and he's 81 years old, Camilla Harris's, but they were estranged. But he's a Jamaican, and Jamaica is part of, you know, you can't hide the truth. That's what this is. And so, but what happens personally, and she didn't mention him and hasn't mentioned him, but I've read her story. And so we do have Jamaican, we have, and I have relatives who have contacted me that are actually from Africa. So we have some DNA relatives who are from Africa that are part of this group. Hey, Eddie, I know you're going to be, going to be leaving pretty soon.
Yeah.
I just want to, I want to just go over briefly. We are going to touch base on the genealogy group for GEDMatch, and I'll get back with you on that, because that, you know, it is progressing, and you know, we are going to, you know, cross the T's and dot the I's on that, preferably, you know, this month.
Well, I'm gonna have to leave you lovely people until next meeting, because I got another meeting to go to do with the family. I got a whole group out of New Jersey I got to talk with now, so I'm deeply researching. So I will talk to you guys another time.
Hey, Eddie, I want to also want to let them know. Last week he called me about this time of our meeting and asked me, "Hey, were we having a meeting?" I said, "No, it's not this week. It's the following week." He said, "Okay, but I'm gonna be having a meeting at 3," and he said, "You're welcome to sit in on it." And so that's part of us reaching out. I did at 3 o'clock. He gave me the invite, and I sat in on that meeting, and I got a chance to meet his family, his close families, and that was very inspirational. So, you know, you're a heavy lifter, brother. I'm working myself up to that.
I'm just a pawn on the chessboard.
Thanks,
Y'all
Eddie.
take care. I'll talk to you later.
Nice meeting you. Bye.
Okay. You know, if this is we have a new, another one of our group members, Tamara Dixon. She just got back on. She was on earlier, and you know, my brief intro on her is she has been involved with our program and helping us get some structure, some organization. Diane has. It's the women, you know, Shalette, you know, you're the ones that pick up the ball and do the creating. You know, we might come up with ideas, but you know, you turn it into reality. And so in Tamara Dixon's case, she's in LA. I told you my story how I got to California. She's in California, and with GEDMatch, Diane kept encouraging me to get on GEDMatch. I got on GEDMatch. I saw my matches, and one of them was called Alice. Is it Aline? What is it, Tamara? My cousin.
Aline.
And what happened is she's a little more senior than myself. As a matter of fact, she's what? How old is she?
98.
98 years old. And Tamara got her to take the test, and I matched her. I matched the grandmother.
Wow.
See, and I don't match some of you younger people, but I matched some of the more senior ones.
But you matched her, and you matched a couple of her kids that are on there.
And so that's how through that's what I'm saying. This is how we help each other. Through that, I reached out to I'm thinking I'm be talking to Alice. I didn't know none of her particulars, and Tamara called me. She responded to me, and it's about 6 months ago, and then we saw how we were related. So then we used through lines, and some of my ancestors and ancestorists, they're connected. So she's on my father's side, on the Moss side, and eventually my family migrated to California, to LA. These are the people I'm talking about, and they lived in that area, and they had ended up, our connection, there was City Moss and Reuben Moss, and City was a Roberts, and that's how I'm connected to City Roberts. My great grandmother, City Roberts, married to Moss, and that's how I'm related to Tamara. So when you start this journey, man, and you put all these pieces together, it is so heartwarming. And so that's how I'm starting from the outside and working myself in. So Tamara, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
That's about it. I found Jerry through my grandmother's test on GEDMatch, and contacted him. And then he said he had we were trying to figure out surnames, and he said he had a Roberts in his tree. And I know that my grandmother's maiden last name was Roberts. So that's how we made the connection of City Roberts. And then when we looked on the census reports, we saw City and Reuben Moss on the same page with Alice Roberts and Toll Blankford, which was who she had married. And so we figured that was either her mother, because she had a daughter named Alice before she married Moss. Yes. And my grandmother's name is Alice, but it's a different last name. So I'm not sure if City is my grandmother's mother or aunt, but it's some family member. Why? And so I think that's how we are connected.
And then what happened when we looked at through lines in the ancestry through lines, it filled in a couple of these the answers. And who was the person? Wasn't it the man? Wasn't it the man that? Oh, matter of fact, I can show it because I have it set up. But wasn't it, one of your great grandfathers? Wasn't it a man also involved in that we relate to, Tamara?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Okay.
All I saw was back to City.
Okay, I'll do that in a minute, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. And on that story, when they migrated, these Mosses, these theologians, they migrated to California, and they bought their parents with them, who was City and Reuben, and it was like Frederick, it was Luther Henry, and these are the Mosses, and they were in the Los Angeles area. And eventually, over a few more years after, the parents passed away by, Reuben Moss and City. And I had it at about a couple months apart in 1918. But Tamara, she's did her verification. It was about a week apart, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exactly 1 week.
And they're buried in Evergreen Cemetery in Los Angeles.
Around what time, what year or what decade did they move to California?
It had to be before 1918, because that's when they died.
Yeah. And
then on the before that, they were in Arkansas. So the 1910 census, they were in Arkansas. Okay. So it had to be somewhere between 1910 and 1918.
There's because
I figured they died of the pandemic.
You say what?
Excuse me?
What'd you say,
what
Tamara?
Did you say? Oh, I said I figured that they died because of the pandemic, because they died only a week apart. And she died on her birthday. And I figured that is when the Spanish flu was going through, wiping out half the country.
And Tamara's a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And
we did this in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I was asking what decade they came out, because Um, Judith Moss, Judy Moss is her name. She lives here in not far from me, but her father was born in Louisiana in 1910. But their family moved here, I guess, at least sometime after 1910, because that's when he was born. But
Mhm.
so I'm just wondering if all of these Moss people knew each other and they moved out here to be around each other. I'm just trying to look for the story because they're all kind of moving like the same area.
Well,
Do they live in the same area? Because there was a certain area that a lot of Black folks lived in. So I'm wondering, did they live in the same like neighborhood?
I could give you her address and I could look at the records, but right now she's in Altadena.
yes, yes,
Oh, okay.
yes,
She had a brother that was a judge. Okay, let me see if I can look up.
yes, they did, and they did live in the same areas, and California was more progressive, and they had work, and they were in the railroads. They were able to come to California. Now, for me, I focused on my cluster. That's the only way I can explain it to you. I focused on the cluster, the Moss cluster, how they migrated. So that's how I'm pretty I'm pretty close on their migration patterns, different sets
Mhm.
of my cluster. Now then when we start doing our GEDMatch, we can see how we're connected. But I know the clusters of mine, so I try to stay on track. Everybody, just letting you know, I try to stay on track because it's easy to get off track and you go down. That's just not my goal.
I'm trying to find the Los Angeles address
So
here.
Tamara, I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and so
Okay.
you can see what I was
Yeah, what's
talking about. Yeah,
on your through line?
yeah, I'm gonna show that to you real quick. All right, these are my parents, and these are the Moss lines, the Burnells, the Mosses, more of them, and here's City Moss right here, City and Ruben. And on through lines, I have 16 matches with him and 16 matches with her. So I'm gonna do her. I'm gonna click on her.
It said one new, so I wonder who's new.
Pardon me?
It
Here
said
it is.
one new.
Okay, here it is right here. There it is.
See, you're putting Alice Wiley. It says evaluate.
Yeah.
So that thing that they're not sure, but my grandmother Alice was Roberts. She wasn't Wiley.
Well,
And there's a
go on.
and Wiley, I looked up Alice Wiley and she has a whole different like family.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
her.
What about George Langford?
George Langford is Alice Roberts' son, Alice Langford's son, not Alice Wiley.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see,
That's
these are put in. I mean, again, but this is our connection, isn't it, Tamara?
yeah, that is our connection. I think City Roberts is our connection.
All right. So you understand how how this program works. And then when on my DNA matches, the people here, that's MD, PD, and SD.
That's my aunt. That's my aunt and uncle.
And here they are. These are third cousins.
Yeah, that's my mother. That's my uncle, and that's my aunt.
All right. And here's and is this Alice right here?
That's Aline.
Aline, here she is. She's 20 Morgans across 2 segments. And here's our connection right over here, our common ancestors. Here's from City Moss right here.
Yeah, but they're not sure. We're not sure the City was actually Alice's mother. It could have been her aunt.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm saying it's a cluster because I'm not. I can't cross the T's on all that. But like science tells me, you my cousin on this side of the family.
Right.
Okay. That's how I'm roll with it.
Right.
All right.
And that link tree is a tree that I did. So I do have her down on my tree as Alice Roberts' mother.
But you know, it can be, you know, it can be changed, because that's one thing about through lines. It just now started, Ancestry just now started using it for everybody. It took a while. It was a beta program.
Yeah.
Did anybody have any Moss relatives in Tennessee in the slavery period? What I get, it's not post antebellum, the antebellum period, I guess.
In 1800, 1850.
Yeah. Because that's where my great grandfather was, and I know some people came there from Georgia and Alabama, but it looked like mine came from Virginia.
What Diane, you had.
That's where my people are from, Virginia.
Yes, a lot from Virginia.
So have you checked your through your matches to see if any of them were in Tennessee, or if they went directly from Virginia? Where to?
I'm gonna see, because one of my
My people went from Virginia to Texas.
Okay.
Sorry.
Virginia to Texas. I'm gonna look up your tree so that I can. What did you say the name was again for your tree?
Are you talking to me, Diane? Thea?
Yeah, you.
Oh, Dolores Taylor. DELORIES Taylor.
I was looking for Thea. Okay, thank you. Okay, Virginia Mosses. Okay, so now what were you saying, Tanya? Tamara, I'm sorry.
Oh, I have another well, she's not a match, but she's a match of one of my cousins, but it's all in the same area, all of that Arkansas Ozone area, and she does a lot of research. I'm gonna put you in her, I'm gonna send you an invitation to her group.
Okay.
It was, and she has on there like she has my grandfather on my father's side. I mean on my grandfather's side, not my grandmother that's related to the Mosses, but my grandfather. She has him on there, the Dixon Stewarts, Williams, and she says
okay.
Have, and then when you'll see it. But
what's her name? What's her name?
Her name's Michelle Cook. Michelle Johnson Cook. I'll send you an invitation too. She does a lot of research and she's really good.
Thank you. Okay.
Good. But she can say like some of those areas you're talking about, Virginia. I'm trying to find it on there where she says, you know, the migrations came from. And I don't.
Belle is a close cousin of mine.
Diane, that one message you sent out, you followed up, and you were mentioning about a few ancestry names when we were talking about the slave schedules, and you did have a Reuben Moss on there. Did you do some research that you came up with a Reuben Moss as some of those names that you had?
On that Excel spreadsheet that I have?
Yes.
I can show you how I did that.
And well, you actually, you know, sent a message with that because you asked us.
I know, but I'm saying I can show you how I came up with that.
Well, my question was, do you have his name on there?
I have his name because of what I do is I start with my matches. And some of them don't go out as far as they should go, but when they work it to wherever their point is, they may have their grandparent or whatever. But sometimes I have information on other trees, so I know that those people are related. So what I'm trying to do is group people that are all related.
Well, please show us that.
What is the name of the group that we're going to put on GEDMatch?
We haven't decided yet.
But it's going to be for that area, right? That Arkansas.
Yeah, Hempstead. Yeah, Hempstead. Mainly Hempstead County.
Hempstead County. Okay.
Because I'm putting
it on her because she has a lot of, you know, history there. So I'm putting it on that group to ask them.
Okay, it's Hempstead County, Ozane Township. That's where the plantation was. That's where William Moss was the slave owner. And that's
There was some
where I
other
got that
plantation there
name.
too.
Huh?
So there was some other plantation there too. So I'd like to know the names of those other
Oh,
ones.
I
So
have a
it'll
whole
probably help them.
I have a whole list of the plantations. That's how I know that he was one of them. I have a whole list
Why
of
you
them.
didn't tell me?
Well, I'm working on it, cuz.
Also on her thing, it says a lot of the, well, on our side of the family, I mean, on my grandpa's side of the family, I guess, or somewhere like that. But a lot of people moved to Arkansas after emancipation too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they ended up getting kicked out too.
I don't know
No,
about kicked out, but
no.
some moved there because they already had relatives there.
Not these people. These people didn't get kicked out.
That's cool. And I got some
So-
right there. I got some cousins right there in Washington. It's called Washington in Hempstead County, right by Taylor. They're part of our group. And he talks to me about that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you the secret what he tells me. He says he does genealogy. He likes talking to us, but he looks for the white relatives who have property,
Absolutely.
and he connects to get
The slave schedules of what they have.
yeah, he connects with them to check them out and see what their resources are, to
They can be
see if
very
there's a
helpful.
way that he can get some resources from them.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, man, this is some serious stuff out here.
Jerry, if you can unleash the share screen, I will show you real quickly about Reuben Moss, what I have.
I got it. It's just for multiple. I got it set up for multiple.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Ah, okay. Here's my screen right here.
Okay. Here she
Okay,
comes.
so you see it? Now let me find the one that's Reuben Moss, which is the one that you and I were talking about. Oh, stop going that way. Go this way. Go this way. Gotta go back up to the top. So you see, I'm using those colors to try to put groups together. Okay, so let me go over here to find Reuben. If you see where I had Reuben, let me know. I'm looking for that right now. Okay, all of those people are related to each other. Okay, so I'm looking for Reuben. There we go. Reuben Thomas Moss, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh, that's from your tree. So I got all that from your tree. So what I did was I went to your tree. You don't match me, but you match my cousin.
Right.
So I just went from
And your Uncle Luther, right?
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
senior. He's senior. So you just a little
But
bit
it's
down
crazy
there.
you don't match
He's a
us, mate.
senior because he's a senior. He's wiser. He's a good more senior than you.
You insist.
Just like Aline.
But anyway, this is showing you that I got that from you. So what I'm looking for across here is other mosses that would go with that. So now what I do have is this group right here. So Hanifa Thomas is one of my matches. So is Tariq Larry and Renita DeBose. But they're all related because if you look down here, you see they are the Larrys.
So I have an explanation about why you don't match.
Okay.
So I mentioned it last time that we don't get the same DNA from our
That's
parents.
true.
And
Yep.
so a sibling would get a separate half from their other sibling, and so they don't have the same DNA, so they don't match the same cousin.
And the farther they are away, the more likely you're not going to match. Sure, the match.
But we have two trees. So we have the genealogy tree and the DNA tree.
Okay.
Michelle, can you explain that again about the two siblings, maybe not necessarily having the same?
So let's say you have the same parent.
Yes.
Same parents have two kids, and we only receive half of the DNA from each parent. So
Right.
in that half, you also get a half of a half and a quarter because you're getting the grandparents' part. And so let's say my sibling would get 50% of my mom and 50% of the dad, but it might not be the same
Right.
type of 50%. And then you also get a little quarter of a grandparent and another quarter going up, but you're not getting the same pieces. So while you have the same mother and the child and so on a genealogy tree, you don't have the same DNA. So you're still related, but
Wow.
you do not have a genetic relationship, but you do have a genealogical relationship.
Yeah. And
That's interesting.
on my tree, I tested, on my DNA, I tested my grandmother and all her 4 children, and they don't all have the same matches. First cousin, second cousin, and the majority, I'll say 90% of third cousins, they have in common. But when you get past third cousins,
Yeah,
some of
farther
them,
away you get.
Wow.
only 2 of them will match that person, or 1 of them will match that person, like that. So as you go further in the generations, you don't have as many matches to that person. So it's
And,
really
and
surprising.
Tamara,
Three matches, 3 of them.
Tamara, I saw where you took your grandmother to vote.
No, I didn't take her to vote. My aunt did.
Yeah, she
Her
did.
daughter Sonia. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, well, anyway, that's why I'm putting this together, because I'm trying to see how many of my matches belong in a particular group. And then I color coded like that.
That's good.
So they're
It- it-
still related to you when you look at it as far as having the same parents and grandparents and great grandparents when you
True.
look at it like that. But when you look at the DNA matches, because
Right.
you get different things, they don't match that way.
Mhm.
So we all have 2 trees.
Wow.
So
And
Fascinating.
she's going to be our one of our genealogy experts. Go-to people.
Awesome. It's
so
always nice to have a go-to person.
On it, I'm the expert. I'm working on it.
That's great.
okay, so like when it's like this, it's easy when you're looking for mosses. If you just look for mosses, you are not necessarily going to find your relatives, because you're looking for the name moss, and that may disappoint you. But like this right here, okay, say this tree had Lauren McNeil and she goes to Smith. Okay, so I had to go through a couple of iterations of relatives to get down to Caroline Moss. That means I had
Right.
to go back farther in the history to do that.
Right.
But once you get it set up, it's easier for you to group that group of people together, knowing they're under one particular relative somewhere down the
Right.
line.
Well, I'm answering your question because I want to respond. When you put something out, I want to respond. Yes, I do know the Reuben Moss, and he's part of the Hempstead County, Hempstead County, Ozan Township, that area. That's where Reuben Moss is, and he's the one. He married City Roberts, and I do have them on the 1870 census, and I couldn't on the 1850 census. The slave schedule is what it's called. That's where William Moss shows up, and that's where one of the slaves. They don't give them a name; they give them an age, and then right from there, 1868, 70. That's where all the Mosses came in, and I believe they had some favor because some of them were mulattoes, and I talked to my wife. Diane, could you pull this down, please?
Oh.
The screen.
I'm sorry.
And you would think you think that it just goes one way, like the man impregnating the black woman, but it goes both ways. There's the slave, those white women bought in the men too and had kids that way.
Yes, they did.
And
Yes,
so,
they did.
and so some of them received favor. This man, and vice versa. They protected them. And you could see once they were free, some of them, you see these different statistics, these different records, how they gave them property or gave them favor in some way. I can't be real specific, so I can't verify it. But do you understand what I'm saying, a group? That some of the, once they were freed, they had favor in some aspects.
Yeah.
From the attachment. And I'll go one step further. How many of you have DNA matches from white people who are in the hundreds. At
White
least the
people
hundreds.
in what?
They match you Central Morgans at least 100 or higher.
I haven't paid any attention.
I haven't either. I can't remember.
Well, I do. And when I did, 'cause
I do.
like I told you, you know, like mine's is it's up in mine's from microfiche and things like that. I just now got accustomed to this kind of thing, but mine's are connected with the folks up there. And so what happened when I did match them, I reached out, you know, being cordial. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if they were white or not. And then they come back, they are white. And then they were in denial. And I said, well, look here, man, I'm not here to stress and press you. I just want to know who you were. And then what
I
eventually
had them
happened,
apologize to me.
yeah. So I say, hey, man, you know what? He said, well, I don't believe it. I said, well, go look on GEDMatch, go look on here. So they did. And then one of the guys, when it was all said and done, his name is Doug Murmur, is his name. And there's McGee's and Murmurs. So I just want to let you know who they are. He came back and he apologized, and he came back with a whole story about his family history. And he has books, and he started talking about where this might have happened. It might have been his father, might have been his son who predated that person. So that's where it's most likely at. That's what that one did. Then this other one, the McGee, his brother got the test first, and then the other brother got it, and he's like 120, 150. And I said, well, we related. I can't tell you where, but then when I started doing my research, I started seeing which side of my family he was on, who he's closely related to make a long story short. One of those theological uncles of mine who went to Howard, graduated in 1910 or 11. He was doing preaching in the Midwest and in Minnesota area. And that's where this McGee lives, is in Minnesota. And then I have a cousin who matches this uncle of mine, James Monroe Moss. That's one of her great grandfathers, close like that. And then so he matches this McGee. And so those two got to talking, and they were able to come to a little more conclusion about that's the side of the family that he's related to me on, from my James Monroe Moss.
A lot of times,
that's what happened. That's how he's related to me.
A lot of times, if you look at your white matches, they won't have any African ancestry. So they have all white. And so they're surprised when they match you, because you match them to your white part of your ancestry. So they don't know it's their grandpa that had the kid out somewhere, or their great-great-grandpa that had the kid out somewhere that was kept away from them, or they don't know until they match all these Black people. Then they'll know, okay, well, maybe my ancestors are one of those rapist slave owners, you know? They don't really know until they match you like that.
Well, you know, now that we're going into this Hempstead, you know, our GEDMatch group, we're going to get into it. You know, we got to deal with the truth. We're going to be dealing with the folks, because we're going to the source now, where these names come from and where the records take us. And so we're going to be dealing with them. So you might as well hold on your hat, because we're going there. So Tamara, to answer your question, right now we're coming down to the wire on this about setting up our GEDMatch group with group. It is Hempstead County, Ozan. And so whatever other label we want to put on it, do we want to be, we don't need to have, Moss or anything else. There's three, we don't have to have that. But what kind of name? I'm open for suggestions when we do go to GEDMatch with these 50 GEDMatch Kit numbers. How do they usually set it up? I mean, it's going to be our genealogy group, huh?
Hempstead County ancestry. I think that's the way we put it in there.
Okay. And the reason why I say that again, everybody, just so you know, and those who see this later, that's where the slave schedule, the 1850 slave schedule, takes my family research to Hempstead County, Ozan Township.
Yeah,
And
Ozan is just like like a city.
yeah,
It's a Hempstead, and then because Hempstead has a lot. They have Garland, they have
yeah.
Ozan.
Hempstead's a county. Ozan is a township. It's a
Right, I just want to
township.
put Hempstead because I don't include all that. Ozan, Garland, where all the other Prescott, all those other areas too.
No. We have to go. I know. We got to have Ozan in there because that's where the plantation was.
Ozan is part of Hempstead County.
Yeah,
It's
that's
part
a
of Hempstead,
township.
right? But it's in Hempstead.
Right.
Make sure to also check the probate and the wills in that county, because a lot of times the slave masters willed their slaves and they named them by name.
So Tamara, when we do that, how when we do get this, when we do start the group, how would it be identified?
I think it should say with members with ancestry in Hempstead County, Arkansas.
And then we'll put our 50 or so, however many we have GEDMatch numbers in that
We got to
pool.
get 50 people in order to start the group.
Yeah, we have it.
We have to get 50 GEDMatch numbers in order to start the group.
We have it.
Oh, you have it already?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm telling you. We're progressing to this point. We do have 50.
Diane is Diane Nelson Trotter.
Yes. And when we use just the people here, when we use the GEDMatch numbers that we
I
have.
have to go now.
Okay, thank you, cuz. We'll follow up with you. Okay?
Thank you. See you next time.
Okay.
See you next time. I'll be there next time. Thank you.
I'll talk to you
It was
between
nice
now and then. But just between us, we have the numbers. If we just went in and did a GEDMatch, go into the program, do GEDMatch and see the numbers that would match us. Like if each of us took the first 5, not to mention the ones that we already have of family members, we have the numbers.
Oh, okay.
That gives us a solid pool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least we are all, at least we are all connected.
And it should help spread it out too, like, whoever they married, people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes.
So it'll be a broader, yeah.
Yes. And I definitely want to know how, how it's done, some of the administrative parts of it once we hook it up.
I think that we have to start a Facebook group because most of those groups like that have Facebook groups.
We have one.
Yeah, we have the Moss family one, but we're gonna have to do one for the Hempstead County one.
So who we know how to set that up, but how will we do that?
That's gonna be after we set up the GEDMatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to know what the process is.
I'll look on there again and see.
This is just like
when you scroll all the way down, it's at the bottom.
Okay, this is just like making sausage. Everybody likes Italian or different kind of sausages. This is how it's made. It's pretty challenging the way we make it, but we get it done. Thanks, Tamara.
Anytime.
Well, I get a chance to talk to my cousin Alice. It's Aline at some time.
Aline. Oh yeah, I gotta send you the number. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I'll send it to you right now while I'm thinking about it.
Thank you. Christina, will it be pastor, reverend, or not pastor? What would your title be?
I already go by pastor now, and I do use reverend already, but I'll be ordained as an elder in the Church of the Nazarene,
Okay.
which
Nice.
is Wesleyan holiness. So it's related to Methodism, Episcopalian. You'll find the fingerprints of those churches in our denomination.
And we have a number of relatives in your area
Oh,
that are
really?
that are a member of this group. Oh yeah, in Maryland area,
Okay.
we have at least
Where,
5.
where is she?
I'm in Laurel, Maryland, in Howard County.
Oh, okay, okay.
So maybe I'm probably smack in the middle of Baltimore and DC.
Okay.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
was
we.
just out there last year. Last September, I went to the Smithsonian for the
Oh,
African American Museum. But I
Yeah,
used to
we.
go all the time because my friend had a house in DC.
okay.
And so she moved from there. She's not there anymore. So I don't go out there as much.
Now, is anyone here connected to Gully? Does that sound familiar?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's a direct line of mine as well.
Yeah, the
Gully,
Gullies.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look.
Yeah, I am because they're all, uh, Christina, they're all in the same cluster. They
Mhm.
are from the same area. That family, the Gullies.
Gully Alexander married Burnell,
Yeah, the
and
whole,
then
the whole,
Gully married
the whole
my
group.
grandmother. My grandmother was a Fields. Is Fields.
Yeah, they are too.
We just found that out.
Yeah, well, they're all part of that cluster. Where
Okay.
they lived at, and some stayed a number of years because you see them in like 20, uh, 1910, 1920, 1930, 1900 census. Some stayed there, others moved.
Mhm.
How do you
And
spell it?
pardon me?
Gulley.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
EY. Okay.
yeah, they're really connected, and they moved together. When opportunities came up, the groups moved together.
Mhm. Now, I found a book years ago online in PDF form that tracked the family of two North Carolinian brothers. I can't remember if it's North Carolina or Virginia, but they are the Gully planters that migrated from the east out to Arkansas. Um, I have changed computers about 3 times, so I have to figure out where I put that book, but in it has the genealogy of the White families. But what's interesting is how the surnames mimic the patterns of our trees just the same. So you have Gully, you have Purfoy, you have Garbolt, you have Tidwell, you have a lot of the same names, but I need to find that book.
Well, the Tidwills are part of our. That surname is part of our my cluster.
Okay.
That's a lot of Tidwills. There's Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Kendrick is another one. McKinney.
oh yeah, the McKinneys are,
Yarborough.
yeah. Well, the McKinneys are my great grandmother was named Della McKinney,
Okay.
and she married a William McKinney, and they were from Taylor, uh, Nevada County, Taylor, Columbia County, in that area, Willisville, Prescott, and see, we have, and like I said, Stevens. That's Stevens. St. Stevens. There's a town there where Mount Vernon Church is. They're all in that area. So, and then when you mentioned John Burnell, there was two of them. There was two Isms and there was two Burnells. And that John Burnell, John Lilly Burnell, the junior is the one they got a lot of stories about him. And
And that's my direct great grandfather.
yeah, yeah, because you'll see uh, a Mashan is her name. She's a cousin of ours, and she's connected to the Lilies, John Burnell, because the Mosses and the Burnells married through their progression 4 times.
Okay.
So men married Burnell women, women married Moss, vice versa. It was
Mm-hmm.
John Lilly married a Moss, my grandfather married a Burnell, and so there was 4 times that this happened, and I have it documented in some of our paperwork. And what we use Family Tree Maker. So if any of you have that, I have the program Family Tree Maker. Eddie has Family Tree Maker, and my cousin Francis is the one who originally set it up for me, gave me my Family Tree Maker, and that's how I started my research.
Yeah, I have it also, but if anybody knows how I can fix this, I have like one of those passport drives, and the plug for it doesn't work anymore. So all the info's on there, but I can't get to it. And that's where I have my tree. So I have to figure out how to get that fixed, because I use Family Tree Maker, and I have like hundreds of people on that tree.
Oh,
It's it's
wow.
it's a
I
powerful
don't want to
tool.
go back and try to recreate.
It's a powerful
Are you
tool.
on Ancestry already?
Yes.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, you need that information. So
Yeah.
you got to get a new plug probably for that passport. I would go on Amazon and look up that device and look up a cord for that device or whatever. So you
Okay.
can see if you can just order the plug.
It's not the. It's like it's the piece where you plug the plug in. Became dislodged somehow. So it's open. The cord
Oh,
is fine, but it's that little piece, and nobody wants to touch it. Like at these tech stores.
oh,
And I mean, I have a lot on there,
oh, that's horrible.
which is really
There got
fun.
to be some way. Yeah, I don't know. So they won't even do it at Best Buy.
No, and not even the manufacturer. They wouldn't touch. They said, "Oh, it's beyond warranty."
Is it
I'm
on
gonna
the
look
hard
that
drive
over.
computer?
No, I took it off of there because I had limited space.
So what is it on?
It's on a passport, like the little rectangle shape.
That big drive, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
So I'll figure it out somehow. Maybe I can get someone to do it, but I have a lot on there.
So what I'll do is, camera as an action item. I will. We had a spreadsheet that Gillette made for us, and the one,
oh, okay.
and I have to figure out a little bit more how to use that spreadsheet. To see, people have filled in a lot of information with one spreadsheet, and then I had another one that I could copy and attach, and I was letting when I sent out my message, I was just letting you guys know this is a beta. This is what I'm I'm working with. Uh, we don't need street addresses. We just want to know what city you're in and some other basic information. And I have the one that wherever you're at, I got to work out the technical where you could just log into it and it stays there. It's on like a cloud or something, and you enter your information.
Oh, the Google Doc, like a Google Doc or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. That's the first one that we had that Gillette did. And so you can log. I can send you the link, and then you can put your information in it,
Okay.
and I can put
Put
my
me and
info.
my grandmother, my aunts. Are
Yeah,
you talking about for our GEDMatch numbers?
yes.
Oh yeah, I could put me and my grandmother, my uncles, my mothers. I didn't
Yeah.
upload my 2 aunts. I didn't upload them to GEDMatch. I had to get their permission.
Okay. Well, once we do that, that's what I'm gonna be working on. Our next meeting is on the 22nd,
Okay,
if the Lord wills. So between now and then, I'll be,
you're gonna send that Google Doc out.
yeah, I'm gonna be compiling the information now because a lot of our cousins, they were really helpful. When I sent this out, we've been doing this for about a month and a half or so. They started sending me Gmail, GEDMatch numbers. They wanted to make
Oh,
sure that
okay.
they wanted to make sure they were in on this study.
So you have mine already, but I can send them to you again. I can text them to you.
Yeah, that's fine. And anybody
Okay.
else who has GEDMatch numbers, please, email me or text me, and
Hmm.
I'll be following up on it. Because whatever we have, we're gonna go with, and
Hmm.
I don't want to exclude anybody. And like my greeting said, to family and friends. So we have friends, relatives, interested parties. that's what our group does. You know, we're open.
Okay.
So I got the number. I got the number, Tamara.
Okay, good.
Okay. So let's have some closing comments.
I just would like to know again the relative's name at Howard.
James Monroe Moss.
Okay.
And I'll connect you with Val. Val is you know, one of his descendants.
Okay. And you said he was what, 19?
It was in 1911 is when he graduated from Howard. There were 3 Mosses that went there, and this is why I'm saying we had some favor when they got once slavery was over or what have you. These 3 brothers went through theology, and that's what Howard was. So I did study on Howard, what it had. It has different programs, but a lot of it was for theology. And so it is in our family, preaching. And if we open up that curtain, we'll see a lot of that. You know, people who are spiritually have a solid Christian foundation and have shared the word and have ministered, and who are you know staunch Christians, you know, stand up Christian. Now the denominations, that's a whole different ball game. But you know, with it, like I said, that's, you know, one of them was he would go, you know, he would be that's James Monroe. The Mosses, they were, you know, those men were sharp and they were intelligent, and so, you know, with that,
That's inspiring. Now I'm like, I want to be a legacy. I want to go to Howard.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you know, we got, you know, you got to invest in your footprint.
Mhm.
And when you get on the out of the starting blocks, you got to be ready. You got to do all your preparations, and you know, study the word to show yourself approved. So when you get in that starting block, when you get ready to go, when they fire off that gun, you gone. You got a purpose.
Mhm.
You want to get to that finish line, and that's upstairs. So you know what I'm talking about. Heaven.
I'm sharing in the chat my name on Facebook and on Instagram if anybody wants to send a request. And then I will send you the GEDMatch numbers.
And like I said, you know, to follow your journeys, you know, socially in this Facebook, man, it's been really interesting to see all the stuff you guys been putting on there. Tamara, your stories, and Tina,
Mhm.
Katrina, all yours. You know, you've been traveling, you've been showing it, man. It's pretty interesting to see what you do and how you guys use that platform. I'm just new to it. Just got on that platform because of, you know, creating this Moss Genealogy and Research Group, and they dragged me on it. One of these cousins of mine said, "Get in here, man. We need you." So we've been rolling with it.
Great for that. It's great for keeping in touch, and it is.
So you know, again, closing comments, and then we'll shut this on down. Katrina, would you give us some closing comments?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, um, I don't really have anything more to add. I do need to, work on getting access to my tree, and I will make more attempts to really be on the Zoom going forward because this is very interesting. And someone mentioned Michelle Johnson Cook, and she and I share a grandparent, like a
Oh,
our
wow.
great grandfather. I think my great grandfather, her great great grandfather, and we recently found one another. So I actually
Are you
texted
on
her.
her page? Are you on her page on Facebook?
Yes,
Her genealogy page?
yes, the one she just put up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I just posted a couple of things on there about the Jet Match.
Okay, so we're already connected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, as I jump back into it, I'll definitely contribute any way I can. If you want help with anything dealing with technology and Facebook and navigating all of that, just let me know.
Yeah. Well, please work with Tamara on how we cross the T's and dot the I's when we actually start this GEDMatch group. We want to know how it functions. We got to have how to, what the purpose is, some overviews. And remember, we might have, we're looking at like, there's 4 people here, but our message goes out to now our research group is over 200 people.
Okay.
It's up to 200 and we're all connected.
And if we have,
Kinfolk, I'm in a group called Kinfolk, and they actually have reunions as well. And it's an intersection of 20 plus families. We're all related. So this seems like it would probably go in that same direction.
where are they from?
On Facebook, Francis Owens,
What are they? Are they Arkansas area or what area?
Arkansas.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
I will
We're
find it
all
on Facebook.
Katrina.
Mhm.
Francis Owens is, my original mentor. She lives in Carlson, California. My son lives in Long Beach. I've been to Francis's house 2 times, and she is she's the originator of a lot of the Burnell, Kendricks, and that whole cluster. Yeah, Francis Owen is in that category. And Diane is too. You just had an opportunity to talk to Diane. She's on the, studying on the Moss side. But when you say Frances Haywood, that woman is heavy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's family. Yeah, Frances Haywood.
Haywood.
She's family. And she's the one that years ago, before Family Tree, they had a program that she bought it when it first came out, and she was able to use it and give us information that we never had access to. Then it got so popular, they started locking it down and making it a lot more challenging to operate. But she still has the original program. And through her original program, that's the information that she published that gave me my what's called pedigree chart, right? She gave me my pedigree chart. And from that pedigree chart, that's where I started my research. That's when I started learning about different names of my family and did my research. And again, invest in your footprint. What that has done, now my family members, I am the family historian and have shared this information with a lot of them. And so when they ask, if they want to try to get some money from the Native Americans, they ask me, hey, how much do we have? I live here. I'm trying to get some money from them. I said, no, you can't get none. You don't have that high percentage in you.
Has anybody did the African ancestry?
No. Oh, you have?
You have, Michelle?
I just started doing it because I was looking into it and someone mentioned what tribe they were from.
Yeah, I want to do it.
And so what I found out online, they said to find your match when you do the match to see who you're matched to. And I guess I put in Africa, and then whoever I matched to, find out if they're 100% African. And if they're 100%, then you look at their tree to see where they were born and what country they're from. And then I looked up the country and it listed the tribe there. So that's how I found one of the tribes that I'm from.
Well, with the ancestry, the only problem I have with it and why I haven't done it yet is because it only gives you one. Because if you're a female, you get the mitochondrial DNA. So it goes back to your mother's 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 mother. So you're only getting that one. You don't get your mother's father. You don't get your mother's father's mother or your mother's father's father. You only get that one all the way back.
The person that you match, one of your matches.
Yeah, but you didn't know which one that was. You wouldn't know what branch that was from. necessarily.
No,
As
not unless you have your parents that tested.
right. Even if you have your parent, it depends on how far back they match. Because what the ancestry does is your mitochondrial DNA if you're a woman, and the Y DNA if you're a man. But if you're a man, you can also do the mitochondrial. So that'll only test your mother's line. Your father's line, you can test your father's line, but you can't test your father's mother's line. So it's only going to take you back to, if you're a female, your mother's line all the way back. So it has nothing to do with your mother's father or your mother's grandfather or your mother's, that side like that. So that's the only thing, it's only going to tell you that one tribe.
Well, I found that one tribe.
That's good, but which one was it? Was it your mother's father's side? Did you match that person on your mother's father's people?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I put in Africa and 4 people came up. I picked the person with the African name, and then I checked their ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
It was 98%, and they were from Obia, Africa. I looked that up, and it showed the tribe that was from that country.
I wonder how would that match with you doing African ancestry? Would that give you another tribe? You know what I mean?
And also my concern is that we're so mixed.
Mm-hmm.
We're so mixed up. So the fact that the Africa Ancestry Company, that they give you one tribe, it's really not a full story.
Right. That's my thing too.
I have some first cousins. We did family tree DNA. I present a lot of Yoruba DNA. My first cousin, who's closely related, she has a lot of Mandinka. And then I know a lot of Burnell is a Khan, right? So,
but if you guys share, like if your cousin, are you cousins through your
mother
or through your father?
Mother. Our mothers are sisters.
If your mothers are sisters, and you guys should have the same, for African ancestry, only one of you guys need to take it because it goes through your mother's line.
Okay.
So since you guys share the same, since you guys have
mitochondrial,
right.
We have the same grandmother.
So only one person would have to take it.
But what I'm saying is with family tree DNA, they do break down the tribes to a certain extent. And some are more Mandinka, some are more Yoruba. Then we have one set of our siblings, our cousins, first cousins, they present some type of Middle Eastern DNA, and it's not from their mother. So it's like,
the thing about African ancestry is it does give you a definitive, because it's going to take your mother's line all the way back to Africa. It's going to do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, in coming over here, unless somebody is like, was isolated, like all of us are like a little Yoruba, a little Igbo, a little Akan, a little something else, because they, mixed everybody on the plantations. So how can we know?
Because it's your mitochondrial DNA, so that doesn't change. It's going to go straight back to Africa. So that's pure. That mitochondrial DNA is pure all the way back. So you would know that one for sure, positive, that is one of your.
Someone that's 100% African, and they're a distant
They could be,
cousin.
but they can be just like she said. They could be from whatever tribe that you had matched with. Like it could be Yoruba, it could be, through all those other. You don't know which one that is. Just because they match you, you don't know what part of you they match. The mitochondria is pure. It goes straight back to Africa. So you'll know for sure that's your mother's line, and your sisters, your grandmother, your great grandmother. We all have the exact same mitochondrial DNA.
But in that, like, let's say grandma 1 is Yoruba, but her mother is Mandinka, and then her mother is, because of the mixing.
She can't be Yoruba. Well, for as far as mitochondria goes, she's going to be what her mother was. The mitochondrial DNA does not change from mother to daughter to daughter to daughter to daughter like that, and even to sons, because your brother will have the same. If you test, and you have the same mother as your brother, it's going to be the same for your brother's mitochondrial DNA too. So you would be the only one to have to take it because the mitochondria is going to stay the same. If you take it and then your brother takes it, it's going to come back the exact same.
I'll have to go back and look at his.
Because you have to know the mitochondrial DNA for that African ancestry. And they have it where you can just download, if you know because I know my mitochondrial DNA because I did 23andMe. And I got my mitochondrial DNA. It's like L3B1A. And so if you know what that is, they should be able to trace it through that. But I can't really get a direct answer out of them because I was like, can I just upload the DNA that I already have? It saves you like maybe $50 or $100.
I'm gonna look because I remember we were all comparing our results and it was different. And we share the same.
Yeah, they're different because of the other 23 chromosomes. The other 22. The 23rd is your mitochondrial. So that's the X chromosome or the Y chromosome. And the mitochondrial one is the one that goes back to your mother. That's the one Ancestry does not test. So you have to get
so family tree says for me 26% Ghana, Togo, Benin, 14%.
Yeah, that's autosomal. That has nothing to do with mitochondrial.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's a different DNA test. That's why theirs is more expensive because they do the mitochondrial test.
It might be on. So Ancestry has the mitochondrial.
Ancestry does not do mitochondrial. They only do autosomal. So they only do the 22. They only test the 22 and they're all mixed up.
So then I'm going to have to do that other
The
one.
mitochondrial is a different test.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've done that.
Yeah, most people haven't. So.
Oh, well, we'll do that. Or maybe I'll do my grandmother's and then I'll know from her.
Yeah, it's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
If you do you or if you do your grandmother.
Now, if we've already had a sample sent in, can they just use the same sample?
They said I don't know, because they said if you have a mitochondrial DNA, which I do, that you can upload it or something they said, but I didn't get a direct answer if mine was okay to use. Because I was like, I did 23andMe, because it depends on what company you use to do the mitochondrial. And I told them I have, this is it, L3B1A. And they didn't respond yet. So I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, that's next then to look into.
But they can't accept Ancestry because Ancestry doesn't test the mitochondrial. Okay. So you can't upload your
just do a new test. You know,
yeah, you have to just do a new one or do your grandmother, like you said, do your grandmother or your mother, or if you want to do somebody else, you could do your grandmother or your mother.
Okay. Now, who did you say I matched again with that tribe? Did you say that was my mother's side or my father's side, or I just don't know whose side?
If it's autosomal, they didn't test your mitochondrial.
It was ancestry.
Your mother or her father's side.
Okay, but it would still give you a tribe.
It would still give you a tribe, but you don't know if it's on your mother's side or your father's side because the autosomal DNA is all mixed up.
Right.
That's why we have to sort out our matches and all that on Ancestry.
So
I can't hear you.
So I did narrow it down to a tribe from somebody.
Right. So you do have one, but like you said, that's even that our mitochondria goes all the way back to Africa. That's only one piece. It's a major piece, but it's only one piece because we have ancestry from all over. You know, for the autosomals, we have ancestry all over.
Now, if I upload it to GEDMatch, does that give you something else?
That doesn't give you the mitochondrial. You'd have to take another kind of test for that.
Now, do you?
I believe 23andMe. That's how I got mine. That's how I got mine. You need a haplotype.
Recommend them over other companies, 23andMe?
Well, yeah, because you still have matches and stuff on there too. Okay. They give you, that's your haplotype. And so you need your haplogroup or a haplotype, they call it. And that's the group number. And that shows you, and it has to start with an L, I believe, if you're doing 23andMe. Because some people do that test and they may not know that their mitochondrial may not go back to Africa. It might be white. Mm-hmm. If you're going to mother. But if you find it and it's L like mine is, then it does go back to Africa. And for the males, it has to be, I can't remember what their numbers were that it had to start with.
Is there's an E?
For males,
Mhm.
I can't remember what it is. I had to look on their website because I mean, I read all the fine print and everything. But since I already know my number, I'm like, okay, well, where does this L31BA go to? You know?
Okay. Actually, my mother's
But
sister.
then on 23andMe, they have it too, where you can sort your matches by your mitochondrial DNA.
Okay.
So you'll know if like those people have the same one as you, then they're going through your mother's line. So it's easier to figure out you're related to them.
Interesting conversation.
Yes.
Hey, Tamara,
I'll go ahead and take it so we can know how it works. I'll just go ahead and take it. And then we can all go through it together.
see, Tamara, she's science-based, and that comes up with the truth. I remember I was on another Zoom meeting with some San Diego genealogy group who's just now starting, and I'm hosting them, helping them through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling them about some of the techniques that are out there. And I remembered you telling me the story about you having your mother's DNA and your DNA, and you didn't have your father's. And I gave them an example that you went through this phrasing process.
Phasing, yeah.
Phasing, and was able to determine who your father was.
Yeah.
That's deep.
So that's on GEDMatch too. So if you have a parent's DNA, what Jerry's talking about is if you have a and your DNA, they have a thing on GEDMatch where you can do phasing. So you can upload your parents and upload yours, and then take those two kit numbers and put them in, and they'll give you another kit number with the other parent. So even though I never met my dad and he was deceased when I found out about him, I still got to pull out his DNA. And then I could put it in different charts and look at, you know, what I got. Basically, my chart looked exactly like his. It didn't look like my mom's, it looked like his. And also you can put it in to check your matches, and you'll see who matches with him. And so you can isolate your family that way of matches. Like these people are on my dad's side in GEDMatch.
What you think of that, Anthony? Anthony, what do you think of that, Anthony?
I'm thinking how this could help me. I'm thinking how, because I'm thinking of something. I'm trying to find a solution to something, and maybe that's one of the things I could use.
Was that the My Evil Twin that you did in order to get the other side?
No, it's called phasing. If you go on GEDMatch, you look up phasing. Not My Evil Twin.
Okay.
Was that an example of the different tools
So
that
you gotta put like your mom's, say you went, GEDMatch tools.
So those are some of the benefits. That's when we talk about sharing techniques, and we all come on the, to this here platform with different experiences, and we share them, and I'm willing to share them, and it benefits us. So very much appreciate it. Tamara, could we have your closing comments, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I like this group because when you do get on here, you always learn something. And then anything that's new coming up, like somebody will have ran across it and can share it with everybody, so we can keep up on what's going on in genealogy. So yeah.
Thank you. And we had a guest member. She's jumping in. Donise, had a book, and on her history, she shared some information with us the last few times. So, and she's part of that San Diego genealogy group. Okay, the Texans, could y'all give us your closing comments?
Okay, well, it's always informative. I always learn something, and I appreciate this group. And the time seems to really go fast. So I enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Anthony?
Too. I'm here to support Michelle. I've been doing my own family research for the past about 17 years or so, and it's good because Michelle and I knew each other in, I think Michelle goes back further. I can't remember being 4 years old or 3 years old, but we go way back in the same little town. And we've each done our family research and genealogy, and thank goodness we haven't crossed. But we do have separate families that they cross in other ways. But this is always interesting, and like I said, I'm phasing to be really interesting. I think it's going to help me find something that I'm working on.
Yeah, well, feel free. I'm not necessarily volunteering, but feel free to contact Tamara. She's there to help you with that. Okay, everybody. Yeah, I appreciate y'all being here. We'll meet on the 22nd. It's all good.
Okay.
It's all God.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Everybody have a good day.
You too.
See you, cuz. Great productive meeting. It's a blessing. Educational, and everybody comes to the table, open and positive, wanting to give, and we learn in the process. So I look forward to seeing you on November the 22nd. I'll be sending out the information, and we'll be crossing the T's and dotting the I's that meeting on creating our GEDMatch research group. So until then, carry on. Be safe. Peace.